Yes, this is John Wilson from All Points TV, and today we have, after the election, we have Darwin Jiles Jr. He's the Michigan Republican Party Ethnic Vice Chair. Got it all out, all one breath. Hey, welcome. You got some exciting, you probably are pretty geeked up about all this.
Well, I'm most importantly, I'm excited about the conservative evangelical turnout overall, keeping the House, the Senate, the White House. There's so many things to look forward to. I mean, after all, we've worked hard. I mean, John, we've been in the field for nearly 10 years now, pushing to make a difference and to beat the rhinos, to beat the media, to beat the establishment. I mean, that's a victory won. And we know that there's still a lot of work ahead of us, but we definitely can take this time to reflect and be grateful to God, most importantly, for just allowing us to get to where we are overall.
Yeah, see, I was just talking to Mr. Moss the other day during his show, and he's coming in soon to make his take on this. But anyway, well, I said basically, for all intents and purposes, Trump was a third-party candidate because he did not face a lot of support from his own party.
Correct. Oh, it's no doubt about it. In fact, I think one of the main initiatives going forward is to get rid of the rhinos. Rhinos meaning Republicans in name only. It's a lot of so-called individuals with an R on their chest that doesn't really support the platform or even the evangelical conservative base of the party, which is the blood of the party, the air of the party. It is the party. Truly, and anything less would, I think, be progressive. But overall, I mean, this is very, very important to see someone like Trump make it to where he is, being the fact that he had so many obstacles and so many things to actually face. I mean, this is a very exciting time for the country. Most importantly, I think individuals voted for principle over personality. They voted for capability and ability over popularity or a corrupt career politician, have you speak. And that's what needs to be noted more importantly.
See, and now that's what I was going to say too, because I predominantly have a lot of ideologies that the old conservative Republicans would agree with.
Correct.
Not the rhinos, but and more of a libertarian personally. But I would say basically a vote for Trump, because he did cross party lines. People on different news outlets are already comparing him to the Reagan Democrats. And what it is basically he's not the establishment's choice.
Correct.
Obviously, and he had let's face it. I now Paul Ryan was in there making some on TV earlier, and I heard him stating about how he's going to work. And it's like I felt like smacking the guy upside the head.
Listen, right now you see individuals who are trashing Trump from the media. And I could go on and on to Republicans who said that they, on public air and The View and other gossip shows like that, say that they voted for Hillary Clinton, but yet now they're completely dumbfounded, completely silenced. The critics have been silenced, and more importantly, knowing Trump's track record of getting business done and getting results, I think they know that he's not far off from doing a job, and it's going to take the whole country to help and support to do that. So although we had this divisive race, I think I would challenge all Americans right now to come together, and more importantly, to look at individuals who, like you stated, are more moderate Democrats and come together for a moderate and balanced cause to get the job done. And most importantly, rediscovering our conservative roots and values. And I think that that's really what we need. That's what's going to continue to make our country great before it ever became a slogan with Trump.
Yeah, I definitely do. I don't know if there's a mandate here, but I definitely could say it's in rejection of the status quo.
Absolutely.
It's actually a slap in the face. They know this. The GOP's establishment on the national level has to be aware. This is a slap in the face to the way they've allowed themselves to go along to get along.
Listen, I actually, and this was an initiative I started at the beginning of the election. I actually was writing for Politico Caucus. And I was actually completing surveys for them. And you will be surprised of the GOP's rejection of Trump and trying to team up with any organization to tear him down in the media. So it has to be stated that If Trump hadn't won this election, it was no doubt about I would be completely done with the GOP and rhinos, period. I mean, I'm done with them anyway, concerning Republicans in name only who are not principled, who don't follow the values, period. But I can honestly say for everyone that stood strong and did the right thing for the country, thank you, honestly, because this is true. For those who are in the fight every day, and John, you know this, we've been rejected here right in our hometown of Flint, Michigan. And it's so important for us to honestly point out how critical this was, because like you said, Trump, he didn't represent really either party. He represented values, principles, and something that was so contagious. Honestly, I can say his campaign probably beat out the Obama campaign. And I would also like to say it's probably, to be for the health of the country. I don't think we need to see this again as a Democrat or Republican issue. I think we need to see this as an American issue. Individuals voted for principle over personality, and for capability and ability over the establishment and status quo. That's really, really important. On top of educating our populace, especially throughout the minority community, because so many individuals don't understand that the black community are not politically diverse. We had one party for 60, 80, 90, almost nearly 100 years controlling our community, controlling the inner cities. And what did we get in return? Again, Tavis Smiley pointed this out, who's not a Republican. What have we got back on our return? Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy pointed this out. You helped get Obama in office. What really did we get back in return?
I mean, I've made a point, too, that if you examine Obama's biography, he's certainly not your average black person. He doesn't know how to relate to
We've been pointed that out, John, a long time
He doesn't know how to relate to that.
He's not the black, typical inner city American struggle type of individual. What people don't understand is that Obama really strategically was manufactured and created. I have a lot of respect for the Obama family overall, non-politically, but more importantly, I cannot support someone who will betray our country and someone who will promote social agendas that are going to be detrimental to the black community, far as same-sex marriage, far as abortion, far as governmental parenting and welfare. These are not the principles that our grandparents and great-great-grandparents came up on. So despite you wanting to understand and vote for someone that necessarily identifies with your same skin color, it's time for us as a people, an educated people, a godly people, to rise above, and most importantly, the American people, skin color. If we're voting for people just because of our skin color, we're wrong. Okay, we're wrong.
I'd like to see how that's any less racist. I don't like the term reverse racism because...
Well, let me give you an analogy, John. We said, I hear the Democrats and a lot of liberals, okay, and I can't say all Democrats, but a lot of them that I'm hearing on the radio shows, especially at the urban community, stating that individuals voted for Obama or for Donald Trump, okay, because he's a white man. Well, if we voted for Obama because he was a black man, I mean, I don't think that you have a lot to say.
The moral high ground certainly lost. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, right.
There's no credibility there. Most importantly, this is a republic. We practice democracy. You got to understand, the black vote did not turn out for Hillary Clinton. So despite how we think or feel about things, this thing works a certain way. And the more we get educated and invest and begin to perform our civic duty more, then we'll understand and be able to hold all parties accountable. And by far, I'm not saying Trump is a one-size-fits-all of the savior. And I don't think Trump, one thing I can probably say I really admire about Trump is that he has not presented himself necessarily as someone that's perfect. He's admitted his flaws. He's admitted that, look, I'm not even saying I'm the most godliest or Christian person. But if the man got courage and he's willing to stand up for something, that's very important. Now, for myself, I supported Ted Cruz. I supported Ben Carson. I supported these individuals, and these individuals eventually supported Trump. But very early on, nobody could predict this. We didn't know what was going to happen. We were researching and studying. But most importantly, once Trump won the nomination, I helped support and get him in and get him elected, because that's my responsibility as the ethnic vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party. John, I can't tell you how many news media outlets contacted me because one of my colleagues, Wendy Day, was basically removed from her position. It was vacated because she went on the Detroit News pretty much and bashed Trump. I don't know if she said she wasn't going to vote for him as a Republican elected official. She's the grassroots vice chair. So she was removed. So at the end of the day, I'm just overwhelmingly proud for the educated voters, those who made a difference, those who didn't get caught up in the media hype, the attacks and the lies. And, how dare we be so hypocritical to bring something up against somebody 20 years that was taken out of context, and we may or may not even known what was the context of things. And I by far am I not making any behaviors of Trump acceptable or approvable. But more importantly, what I'm saying is we got to think. This was an election cycle. The job was to prevent somebody from getting in office, and it didn't work because the American people thought, they educated themselves. We are getting attacked overseas, domestically. We are in a war right now. And yet we're talking about words that are years old. We're talking about behavior that we can't necessarily say we have actually proof of. And I just think we have to raise the bar, and we have to give every candidate, regardless of party, the respect to be able to run without this type of media assassinations. But I think after today or yesterday, it's very clear the American people will speak, and they will see through the fog, and they will see through the hype. And most importantly, they will let their votes count. So it's important that the black community become politically diversified. It's important. We can no longer just count on the Democratic Party in the inner city. We can't just count on a Republican Party. We have to vote on issues and principles and be educated and come out in numbers. And more importantly, get back to human flourishing, get back to so many other things that made our country great.
I know on a personal level, because I've known you, and I've known that you've taken some real serious head blows in this, in your quest here, and also the way you basically are a standout person in this field for being a black man in the urban setting, where Flint is right in the smack dab of what we call an urban setting. You certainly have taken a lot of personal hits. People calling you names, disparaging, very disparaging. I don't want to go into it because I want to keep it G-rated, but I saw some of the comments people are posting, and how does that weigh on you? I know that you're thick-skinned to some degree, but at some point you probably want that kind of recoil and stay away.
Most importantly, I guess this would be a good time to give a shout out to my son, Lim Joseph. I have him in the studio, so this is a very important interview. But I do this for him now. I used to do it anyway for in honor of my father, who was a victim of a homicide in 2008. I've been to college. I have an MBA. I've worked for great companies. I've done great things with my life. Coming from where I come from, at humble beginnings from the inner city of Flint, Michigan. Most of the people who you may see spitting venom probably are just ignorant. They don't have the education, they don't have the knowledge, they definitely don't have the moral values that I have, or personally that they should possess in order to make the educated decisions and the right decisions. So they can say what they want, but that doesn't get me. It doesn't break me. It doesn't make or break me. And I pray for those individuals. I pray for those who do persecute me for righteousness' sake. I think so many people have, again, fell into ritual traditions and just iniquities of this particular area, being that it's been such a liberal and democratic stronghold. But more importantly, it's beyond politics. It's been an evil stronghold. The murder rate, the rape, the crime, you name it. The failed schools and everything. I think it's just ridiculous. So again, I do this for my son, and most of the time, again, people never say that to my face. So to be honest, 98%, 99% of the comments I never see. And I have a huge audience. I have a huge outlet. I have access to millions of people. So if I ever needed to do a PR campaign, it easily could be done. But I wouldn't waste a second to refute the haters, so to speak, because it's all about actions. Actions speak louder than words. Yesterday was a good turnout. And that's just it. Not only that, so many of my good Nikki Snyder, one school board, and Tom McMillan, so many other great things happened. Tim Scott was reelected. Just so many different things have happened that I'm proud of right now, of good people. You know, we got a really good VP that reminds me of Dave Ijema, you know, right here in Michigan. I just think we got a lot of good turnout, man, and I'm proud of that. I'm happy of that. And then my history and my life has spoken for itself, man. I've taken crisis after crisis and hit after hit, and I've overcome, and I continue to prosper. You know, thanks to the Lord and Yeshua just really being on my side, and I just want to help make other people better. So if you probably see someone saying something, that's probably one of the people I'm fighting for, fighting to help.
Yeah, because I think a lot of it is people don't realize that they can get out of this situation. They can get out of this way they are living now.
Correct.
And they think if you're looking for one party and they have failed you so much, see, I basically just like a very small amount of government around me, because I basically
I'm for limited government all the way around, absolutely. And that's, you know, speaking of that, I'm going to start a new movement called the Urban Liberty Movement, you know, or the Urban Liberty Culture, because it's time that I can directly razor sharp focus on getting government out of our communities and more implementing more substitutes like entrepreneurialism, education, you know, faith-based initiatives, governmental mentoring and programs. We need more community-based entrepreneurship than we need anything else, and that's honestly the truth. We need to create our own economies, and we can do it. We really can do it.
Right. I mean, another thing is to bring up too, the reason why I think most people now, it should be driving it home right now, is the crisis we underwent here in Flint, the water crisis. That's a definite example of a political failure, and both parties had a hand in that. Now, they want to blame Snyder. He inherited a lot of problems, too, from that. You know, they always said that when Obama got elected on the national level.
Correct.
But he inherited, too. And basically, he was probably exasperated, saying, hey, we want to cut costs, and that's where the move was to go to the city water supply, you know, the Flint River. And that was done probably out of good intentions.
And you got to understand, I was just recently at the Oakland University, because I was a graduate student at Oakland University, nominated most influential in my class in graduate school there. And there's an Oakland University College Republicans. And we had an event, and one of the students there asked a question about the Flint water crisis and began to, of course, bash Snyder, bash a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, Governor Snyder has admitted his fault and blame, and he needs to continue to do all he can do and producing the results to turn this thing around. However, no one speaks of Dane Walling, the failed mayor who actually implemented the whole water KWA Kanagandhi water initiative before it was completed. Nobody speaks about the council, the all-Democratic council who voted for this. Nobody speaks about the corruption and crony capitalism between both parties dealing with that mayor. So that's just the truth, you know. And if you want to see Governor Snyder in jail, please understand you got about 20 more people that's going to come with him if it comes to it. But I hopefully it doesn't, and I hopefully more importantly that they can correct this thing, and the victims and people who have been hurt can really get what they need. But definitely for accountability on all levels, you know. And if whatever it comes down to, then it comes down to that. Unfortunately, this is the burden that you have when you go into public service. You can go to jail from these positions. I mean, you can be held accountable at every high level, and I don't want to see that happen to any politician or official. But what happened in Flint was just a catastrophe, and I can't. It should have never happened.
All right, so I agree with you on that. But I always liked your forthrightness, too. I mean, you mentioned during that, you know, the little thing that you did right there, talking about crony capitalism. A lot of Republicans and the people in the Republican Party leadership would kind of basically, it's basically the 800, it's the elephant in the room, the gorilla in the room. They don't want to acknowledge that.
Correct.
And that's like, I think you owning up to it and referencing that is an indication there that you are not so caught up with party politics you don't realize that this goes on.
Oh, absolutely. It really is about principle. It really is about liberty. It is about freedom. It is about faith. It is about ultimately our God-given rights to be free as Americans. And I don't know if you hear my little son down here, he's just talking to me. He's such already a little leader. He's already so expressive. Is the camera on?
The camera's on.
Okay, I want to try to pick him up for a second.
All right.
Come on, little guy. Gotta get you on here. This guy is he is so adorable. Come on, little guy.
Well, he's on the phone with his manager, you know.
Yeah, this is my little guy.
Oh, he's happy.
He my little son is so adorable, man, and he really is the joy of everything. I actually had a chance to take him voting with me in the booth, and I know he's just a little baby, but I guess we turned out a success, huh?
Yeah, he's kind of like the lack of a better term, like a good luck charmer or talisman there. But
yeah, but and another thing just concerning voting, and this is to tell you how serious this is for me, that it goes far beyond any dart that anybody could throw at me. The shield of faith really does shield me, but I have never been to a voting poll with my parents. Never.
Oh, see, that was part
I've never been to a voting poll with my father, with my mother. I remember seeing vaguely my grandmother and grandfather, voting because they were more responsible from a different generation. And of course I know a lot of my Winfrey family, they all vote, but a lot of other individuals, they don't vote, and I never been to the poll. So even just to take my son for the first time as even a little baby, he's just a little thing here hanging out with his dad, but it meant a lot for me to be able to have him with me, and it's like I said, I do this for him now. It's not really about anything else, you know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, I think I think everybody's got to make the decisions. I think more people should have. And that's what we have done in our past. We made stuff. Our politicians made promises based upon wanting to get in office and not look at the long-term effects of those promises. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, this drives it home. I mean, your child right there with you. I mean, it's like these issues that you're looking at, the things we got to address now, is going to impact up on him, his kids, his grandkids.
Absolutely, well, and the debt is what, 20, nearly 20 trillion. I mean, we're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. That if we didn't have the right person, again, we voted for ability and capability. And I do know when it comes to finances, I do believe Trump has what it takes to get the debt down and do what we need overall. And now I would say, because I heard a good person say this, she said, why don't you focus on letting Trump make America great again, and you focus on making your life great again. Yeah, and that's where I am right now. I don't have time. I mean, I'm honestly thinking about not even running again for politics, actually. So this will be the first time on record that it's time that so come up next year. It's a great chance I won't run again.
But you got family, and you got other things now to, on the plate, and, let's face it, if you think it's in good, capable hands currently,
absolutely,
you can set back a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. We put in nearly 7-8 years. I mean, you've seen it, working for free, rain, sleep, hail, or snow. I mean, we've produced, we've been out here, man.
I think you went through a couple of vehicles.
Oh, yeah. Dude, several, man. Yeah. And so it's about time, and it's a good moment, man. It's a good moment. It's a good thing, and thank you, John. You've been an unwavering supporter. I don't think I could do what I've done without you, most importantly, in this studio. I think this is a historic studio. You probably need to start getting signatures and putting them up here.
We used to do that upstairs, actually, on the wall, and then we moved down here more.
We need to start it because we've had so many legendary people come through here. People don't understand. This is not just your average studio. This really came from your heart and your passion, and it's been a great help. This has been a leading conservative, liberty pushing.
The thing is that we do a lot. We have people. We have shows that come on once a month that are basic contrary to everything else I personally represent, but they are people who are committed to getting their word out, and I see that passion in them. And there is common ground. I mean, that's the reason why I encourage that.
You deal with good people.
Yeah,
John,
they're good people.
So,
they're good people. Even though I disagree with their political solutions, they actually that's what I hope.
But think of how fair that is, John. Now and I know. What the union bosses before all of this let us come in and do a show in a studio where they're doing, opposing views. No. They wouldn't allow us to do that. So that just tells you how serious and how principled individuals like John and I are. We let other individuals come in, still practice liberty, as freely.
Yeah, because I remember the adage I grew up with here, and it was always attributed to Voltaire, is I might not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death your right to say it.
Correct.
And now I guess it wasn't him that said it, but anyway, I still like the sentiment, even though I don't know the true author of that that phrase or that the sentiments, but I still think it's accurate, and that's what all points is. And we've been criticized. I was called all kinds of names last summer, a couple of summers ago, and and it does hurt, it does sting, and that's like I know you're out there way more in the public eye than I am.
Well, I guard myself pretty good too, man. I learned how to build a trench, and I learned how to keep a perimeter, as they say it, and keep it secure, man. I don't just hang with anybody. I don't just message anybody. I'm very selective with who I deal with and who I affiliate and associate myself with, even though I try to reach out to everybody, and I'll go in the trenches of the trenches, to reach people. But overall, it's just time, man. We needed this change in season, and so I'm ready to capitalize on it. Just greatly, man. Just greatly. I really am.
Okay, thank you very, and I'd like to thank you right now. You came up here, and this has got to be exhausting.
So
on
Mr.
you.
Moss, I still love him too, but I know he deserves this victory. Big time.
Because
Moss has been pushing
and he takes
Trump and doing right for so long, and he's taken a lot of slack as a University of Michigan former professor. He's done such a great job, and I have such enormous respect for him. Like it's just unreal.
I don't think most people value really like I do, because I met him 9 years ago, and I see the value in this individual because he is a very fair and balanced person. He's a very decent person, and even some of the left people I know have begrudging respect for those attributes. But they certainly don't agree with his way. And I don't think I've ever disagreed too much with his stances on most of anything.
And also, just so you could know, the latest showdown that was in Flint, I came out in support of Juantez Davis being against the Rizzo contract, and I was against Rizzo from day one. They've sent and hired individuals to try to attack me and a lot of different things. And they've even, there's even an article that was published through the USA Today. My thing is I support a lot of local leadership here that are pretty solid overall. But on that particular issue, I supported Juantez Davis, and Rizzo actually tried to sue me. I actually did an interview with Mers and Kyle from Mers in Lansing, yeah, Kyle's a great guy, great journalist, reporter, and I got an attorney letter from some attorney hired by Rizzo, and of course this is before the feds came in and of course forced the CEO to step down, and they sold off majority of the company, and now the feds are investigating Rizzo, and I always felt that was a conflict of interest for the city of Flint. And that's just the type of leadership I'm saying, just to make my point very crystal clear. If me and Juantez Davis, he's a Democrat and I'm a Republican, if we can come together and do good for the city, there's more people that can come together and do good for the city across party lines and based on principle. And I think that's important. And I still continue to think that Karen Weaver must stand up. She must be objective and moderate and balanced. She needs to think for herself as she can. She's as a PhD, very educated woman. I have a lot of love and respect for Dr. Karen Weaver. But politically, she has to keep a very fresh trail and stay away from a lot of the heritage here that hasn't benefited the city politically, and even led to even if it's perceived corruption, that's the wrong thing to have. So I think that'd be a good note to end it on, man. I'm enjoying the feeling of so many victories. My little son, you sure don't want to say anything? Huh? Want to say something? Huh? What you want to say?
He wants to actually get there and hold us.
What you want to say? Anything? He's so talkative at home too.
He wants to actually sit there and think of his position before he states it publicly.
Exactly.
That's what it is. So he's already practicing good, prudent political practice.
Exactly.
But anyway, I'd like to thank you for coming up here, and that's really, the Michigan, the Michigan Republican Party Vice, I think, Chair. That's, you're inside the movement, you know what's going on, and we really appreciate you showing up.
Thank you, man. And I also want to just appreciate CL Bryant. We did a show just the other day predicting everything that happened on Election Day. I went to the Sterling Heights event of the rally for Trump, and Macomb County showed up strong for Trump. More importantly, that rally was so filled with ethnic diversity from all economic levels. So when people say that, oh, Trump's just a racist and there's only white people supporting him, that's a bunch of baloney. You better wake up. This was an American move, and everybody had a part to play in his victory.
Right.
And sometimes it takes a village, as they say. So, man, I'm just overjoyed, and I'm ready. I'm ready to fight in different arenas. I'm ready to do, even if I'll be moving on from politics, I'm ready to fight in other arenas and continue to do good, man. And live and continue to help and bless people, do all I can to be the best person I can be and better my family and the community, our country. And I've met so many good people that, man, I'm just so thankful for the relationships overall, because we had no clue, John, years ago that it would have led to where it led to, right. And I'm just overjoyed.
No, I'm great, and I'm glad that like I said, I hope that there's some good change, and I hope that people who are really serious and severe critics of Trump can see some good in this, and on both sides of the aisle.
Correct.
Reach out. I think there is some chance for that, but the rhetoric I'm seeing on Facebook, it's pretty intense right now. So I hope that dies down.
In fact, I would recommend everybody that's feeling good, just turn off the media now. This is not the time to focus on giving room or place to the enemy.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks again for coming up here. And anytime, like I said, you see anything you want to discuss, give us a call, right?
I got you.
Thank you.